Hey guys, today I wanted to take you through the process of making In the Name of Love, but not in the classical way where I just show you the sounds and the sound selection and the structure and that's it. I want to take you through the creative process and the approach I had when I made the track and its meaning, so you can know a little bit more of what happened in the back of my mind when I was making the track, and you can also have some different sort of insight of the music making process. So without any further ado, let's just get right into it. So as I said in the reel we posted before the track released, this track was made the night I received some very bad news that would then lead for me to not be able to execute some plans I was really looking forward to. So after I had those news, I had nothing else to do but to accept the fact that it doesn't matter what I said or what I did, I just wouldn't be able to change the way things were gonna happen. And that feeling that you can't change things doesn't matter how much you try, and accepting that is what I wanted to convey in this track. So the way I did this was mainly through three things. Probably the main way I approached this acceptance feeling was through a scale change mid-track. But I did not actually change the scale, I just swapped to the relative major of the original minor scale I had playing in the track. I know it sounds very complex, but it's actually pretty no-brainer. You just take the circle of fifths and you search for your minor scale in the inner circle, and then you just look in the outside circle and you will see what's your relative major scale, and you just create some different chord progression in that scale instead. What you gain by doing this is that you can keep reusing the same samples, the same vocal and the same everything without having to change it. I literally reused the same melody in the beginning. Now it just feels different. The main reason why I selected a minor scale to begin with and a major scale to end up with is because historically there's a association between minor scales with sad emotions and major scales with happy emotions. The fact is that even though the end of the track is placed in a major scale, it just never feels happy. It just feels better, because that's what this track is all about. So going a little bit deeper in the instrumental aspect of this track, there is two main elements that play a huge role in representing this acceptance feeling, and those are the main melody and the guitar with which the track starts with. The melody has its domain in the first half of the song, before the change of scale. And that's because the melody itself represents the pain. So even though the track starts with the guitar, what takes over the drop and takes over the entire first half actually is the melody. And now in the other hand you have this guitar. This guitar represents the acceptance. And the reason why the track starts with the guitar instead of the melody, it's because at least I have found that when it comes to the acceptance process, you start accepting something the second you get the news. So after this section, we have an instrumental break, where you can again hear the guitar and the melody fighting for attention. Just that this time, the melody is incredibly washed out in reverb in the back, and you have the guitar, which is also filtered. So in this section, you have both the pain and the acceptance fighting against each other, and during the entire build-up you have the guitar taking over and the melody getting more and more washed out in reverb as the build-up goes on. And once you get to the last drop, you can still hear the melody in the background. So you have this sort of mirror structure where at the beginning you can definitely hear the acceptance coming in even though the pain is taking over, and at the end you can hear the pain going away while the acceptance takes over. So you have these two elements that never disappear during the entire track, that actually fight for your attention as a listener. Now, another way I had to convey this feeling, it's more technical, and it's through mixing. I'm definitely not gonna get too technical with this. I'm just gonna say that even though mixing has been misunderstood as something that has to be crystal clear and perfectly sounding, mixing is also a creative tool. You can use it to convey feelings and to tell the story you want to tell. So don't be afraid to make your mix sound muddy if it's needed. Don't feel afraid to use it as another way to express yourself. It's just mixing. So I will always strongly recommend you to be you the one that makes your own tracks, because you know the story you're telling. So with that being said, the way I proceeded with the mixing of this track is that the first half is very muddy, like very bassy, very low rumbly, and very like low-ended. The reason for this, I think it's pretty obvious at this point, and it's because you're literally at the ground, and the low frequencies just make sense. And in the other hand, in the second half, the sound selection and the mixing of those sounds, it's more refreshing. Even though they kind of like sound dirty, they have more high frequency, so it's more like refreshing, it's airy, it just feels the entire spectrum. Feels like you have accomplished something, even though you're not feeling happy about that. You just feel better. Even though it doesn't seem like, the mixing of this track actually plays a huge role in conveying these feelings I have been talking about. You can't feel the end of the track refreshing if you don't have the contrast of the first half. So again, this track is all about contrast. Sonically, technically, like theoretically, through the scale change, and also through mixing. The beginning is very bassy, and the second half, even though it has this huge bass, the whole sound spectrum is being fulfilled. So yes, to sum up, what I did in this track is that I changed the scale from the minor relative to the major relative of the same scale. I made two main elements to fight for your attention during the entire track to sonically show this fight between pain and acceptance once you get this bad news. And last but not least, played around with the mixing aspect of this track, the most technical and feared aspect of music making. So yeah, I think those are all the interesting facts I can give you about this track and how I used these things to tell the story I wanted to tell. I hope this video was helpful, not through showing you exactly how I mixed or those kind of stuff, but to show you how you can approach the creative process of telling a story, of telling how you feel. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and enjoyed the track as well. And as always, thank you so much for the support this last few months. It's been amazing. So yeah, see you next time. Bye-bye.